It's 2016, but that's not stopping us. Welcome to Roll for Crit. I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes. We almost stopped, but we decided for the people in this new year, we should keep going because, of course, there will be so many awesome new games coming out this year and news to cover. And there already have actually been a couple of new games that have, like the new Study in Emerald, which is somewhere on our shelf behind us.
Which I've been waiting for because I got the old one right when they announced the new one.
I remember when we covered that. So they're not letting up with the new releases. So we're here for you.
And not just releases, news.
Yeah, so we have a very big story that has actually kind of been taking place over the last month, if not the last year.
Well, I would argue it's been happening for a while, but in the last end of December is when it really sort of came about.
Right during the holiday season when we were kind of on our break from covering things, like the biggest story of the year came out. If you have not heard, Asmodee has been buying a bunch of publishers up recently over the last year or so, and they have now officially come out with the statement that they are calling themselves this new organization, Asmodee North America.
Well, hold on. Let's clear up. First, this is strictly in United States so far. I don't think it affects Canada or Mexico.
Right, as of yet.
Or Europe. And directly. We should say directly.
At least this particular set of news.
Right, this particular set of news.
Right, so the big deal is, if you haven't heard, again, they now have access to companies like Fantasy Flight,
Queen Games,
Days of Wonder, and most recently they...
Not the company, but the game series Catan.
Yes, the entire line of Catan, not Mayfair Games. Mayfair still has other things going on, and they actually said they will still be helping organize Catan-related events, so they still have some stake in that. But Asmodee now has the official rights to that line of games, so they have a lot of big, heavy hitters.
Almost all of them. I mean, we're surprised they didn't buy out Munchkin.
Yeah, really, it's what? Steve Jackson, Z-Man and Plaid Hat, and Rio Grande. Indie Board and Cards, Yellow Games is still out there, so there's still a few.
Yeah, but the reason I mentioned Munchkin
not many.
Is because they now own at least the big games I can think of as sort of the gateway games.
Right.
Munchkin's the only one they don't own.
For sure.
And Hasbro's.
Of course.
Those are the only two they don't own. I mean, they got Ticket to Ride. They got Just Catan.
Yeah. So the big recent announcement that they made is that they're also going to be changing up the way that they deal with stores and distribution in terms of online versus brick and mortar stores. So there's a lot of stuff here. We're in a weird position because we, in addition to doing this podcast, also have our own online store,
which you should visit.
Yeah, rollforcrit.com. Lots of great games, great prices, great deals. And more videos just like this one. So there's some things that we can't exactly address or discuss because business-wise, there's a lot of stuff that we're dealing with internally.
Right, yeah, and to be honest, it's not only that. Is because what's happening right now is, let's go over there's very few details, and what's happening is already started in January. There's only 5 distributors that will sell their products, which you probably don't care as much about. Unless you are a consumer, in which you should deal with these people. They're very nice, most of them. They're all I think we're dealing with all but one of them, the distributors
that have them,
and they're all pretty good, for the most part. So the only thing that matters is one of them was exclusive to one, so it'd be easier to get one of the other games, or 2 now because of Catan. The big thing, though, which will affect more people, is that starting this April, so for April 1st, which is where a lot of people are like, is it a joke? But
the worst April Fool's joke ever.
All stores have to have a registered account with Asmodee. And if you're not registered with them and sign whatever the contract and whatever deals or agreements you agree to, you can't sell their products.
And they also, if you have a brick and mortar store, they don't want you to be selling things online in addition to that, or vice versa. They're trying to really kind of categorize these channels differently than
they're also trying to reduce the number of online stores to help out the brick and mortar, and so that's really all we know. And one of the reasons why we don't know much is because they actually have to make all these agreements, which is why we're very in a weird position. It's because not until April 1st, until all the documents are written out, the contracts are made, who's allowed to sell, who's not, what are the price deals. They can't really say much because they got to write out the contracts, and if they did say a lot, people are going to be like, why isn't this in the contract? And
Yeah, a lot
so
of it-
they need wiggle room because they're not probably 100% sure on the contracts yet.
We really don't know the full effect of what this is going to be in precise terms. What most people are, I think, afraid of that seems likely is that prices probably will rise for online stores for these games, which is like a whole discussion in itself. You know, for years in everything, but board games are certainly no exception. Online prices have been dropping and hurting local stores.
Right.
And that's a whole other argument about whether it's a good or a bad thing. And they're, supposedly like you said, they're trying to help out your local brick and mortar stores.
And then, of course, some people, I mean, you can look online and see people's reactions. Some people are worried because they're not near any of these stores.
Right. There's plenty of pros and cons you could think of from both sides, I think.
I do think what I hope they do with this is, if you didn't know, one of the companies they bought was Fantasy Flight, which is a very big company. But one of the big thing is they're almost outside of like general trading card, like Magic the Gathering and stuff. They're the ones I can think of who do really big tournaments.
For sure.
Like, I mean, we reported on to the Star Wars, the Cthulhu, even though which is ending, they still think they'll probably have around and stuff. Netrunner. So I'm hoping they maybe try to doing a focus on trying to reward people through tournaments to come and play. Like,
it sounds like that's part of what it is. Maybe more promos and giveaways.
I think a great one, because I've seen people actually trying to do customs of this, and maybe like as a reward at tournaments, would be a version of the new X-Wing, you know, the Force Awakens one, but painted in Poe's colors, the black and orange. Like, things like that, I think would be great giveaways and interest.
Yeah, there's definitely, and it seems like they're probably going in that direction, at least a little bit. I mean, for sure, local gaming stores are where you go to have those tournaments. So by helping them, you're helping that scene.
Yeah.
Again, it's an interesting thing. We got to address it, but we don't know all the details, so it's hard to really.
Right. So tune in around March. That's probably when we'll have more. I mean, this definitely is going to change the board gaming landscape.
It's a big thing, and it's like I remember when we were talking about when they first started
buying up companies.
I forget who the first one was. Probably Days of Wonder. That it was kind of a big deal.
No, I think it was someone else.
Maybe I don't remember.
I know Fantasy Flight was later on.
Much later.
Because I remember we were shocked. We're like, really?
Yeah, I remember every time we were like, well, that's fine, and then like, oh, interesting, again.
I know at the time for me it was more like,
deal.
Fantasy Flight got bought out then?
Yeah, no, for sure. That was definitely kind of a shocker. So,
but the companies like Fantasy Flight will still stay as Fantasy Flight games.
As far as we know,
as they said.
That could change.
That could change too.
It's hard to say. I feel like it would be smarter on their part, I think, not to change that, because I think people have trust in those brands, especially Fantasy Flight.
No, that's why I think they're not going to.
Yeah, I don't think they should. But on the other hand, they may want to, because there is some appeal to having everything under one name.
I think the other reason they don't want to do that is because the people at Fantasy Flight, for example, I keep bringing them up because I think they're one of the biggest ones. And in this situation,
Wonder, though.
Yeah, but the reason why I'm bringing them up, they have all the copyrights, like Star Wars and stuff,
too.
And they probably want to keep that in house.
For sure.
So I don't know what's going to happen.
Well,
there.
I know as far as like actual internal development goes, I don't think much is changing at all. I think from the creative side of things, like I don't think this is going to hurt the quality of the games. If anything else might be hurt, that I think at least is safe.
Yeah.
But it remains to be seen what else happens. So yeah, I'm curious. People have posted plenty of opinions already, but if you have a viewpoint, we're definitely interested to hear it. And this will keep on developing in the coming weeks. But I'm glad that you brought up Fantasy Flight and their tournament scene.
Okay.
Because wrapped up in all this, we also have some news that they are making some changes to a bunch of their organized play games.
Okay.
Pretty much all the ones you just mentioned. So a lot of them are things that, because we don't play these games in a tournament setting, we can't address them head on really. But for example, in X-Wing, the new damage deck that comes with Force Awakens, remember that?
Oh yeah.
That's now mandatory for tournament play. So that is officially,
I think that's
overtaking the original one. More controversially, there are some things like in Imperial Assault Skirmish mode. There's made some changes to some of the I believe the ones I read about were all on the Empire side of things. That they're I think nerfing them a little bit. Skirmish mode we haven't even tried.
Are they actually
yet.
changing the cards? You mean, or
I believe so, but yeah.
if I bought a newer version of, are they going to change the print or?
That I'm not sure about. I think it may be. I imagine going forward they will. But I
hope so, because that would be very annoying.
I think for now you go to a tournament, but some things are, for example, in Android Netrunner, it's simply a matter of these cards you can't use anymore.
Oh, they have a ban list.
Yeah, sort of. Or cards. Some cards now are do cost more to use.
How do they do that?
I think they just tell you when you get there. You got to make a
very
note of
interesting.
it.
A ban list, I think, is a good idea because I mean, it doesn't require anyone to know anything new. It's not like if I go there, things going to change. Your ban list is online, it's done. Changing the card cost is very difficult because that means people have to be like, so which and now people have to question, is the edition matters? I'm very curious though, because you mentioned Android Netrunner. I notice we've had one set we've never been able to stock forever, called Opening Moves. I'm wondering if maybe that set has a lot of these problem cards in it.
Huh. That's an interesting theory.
That they haven't.
But we have nothing to base on whether or
I
not.
know, but now I want to look it up because, because that could be where.
Well, I know that supposedly some of the cards that they're making
Targeting.
more expensive were used in some like winning decks and tournaments before. So, whatever the case, they're obviously powerful.
Yeah,
commonly decided
like I said, I know Magic Tournament, but I don't know this, so I'm trying to sort of glean with that. I wonder if they have Magic has something called Cycling, in which
Right.
only the most two recent sets are available for play. So I'm wondering, is that the same there? Can you only use the most recent?
I'm pretty sure that's part of the appeal of the LCG thing is that they don't do
Right.
that. But weren't they going to start doing that from now on? Like, wasn't that
yeah.
a big thing? I think they are starting to do that because I know with Game of Thrones Second Edition, I think maybe that is.
That's
part
a little
of their-
easy 'cause
their
it's
game
only
plan.
one.
Right, it's easier to get started. But they're also there's some other changes for also the Star Wars LCG and one or two other things maybe. So, if you are in that scene, let us know what actually the changes are.
What I would hope they would do.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with Android Netrunner for this one, because that's the one you really mentioned the most changes for. Is if they do different print values, that they actually release a set of cards that are the new print values of all things. And maybe even, I would think would be very nice for them to do is, you remember how we talked about how Android Netrunner requires 3 copies to have a full play set of all the cards in it?
Right.
If then you can get the other cards.
A bonus pack.
Well, I would just call it
The completion pack.
I would say the retroactive pack.
The
it's the-
DLC that should have been in the game pack. Yeah.
But I because I've never seen a card game change the values of a card before. Like even Magic has some cards which are like weird because of the printed word very weirdly. People are like, so it works this way. They're like, you know what? Just let it happen. It just happens. But that's why it's like this is very confusing and I'm curious how this.
We'll find out more.
Which is why I think the ban list is probably a little bit of an easier.
Right, for sure. Yeah, it's then having to. I mean, maybe I think that part of their assumption might just be, well, if you're coming to a tournament, you're savvy enough that you are familiar with these changes.
Well, what it would be, I think they should do, which I think Magic does a lot of. Let's say the card gives you 10 credit in the game, and for one, and let's say that was a really good ability. They ban that card. In another set, they just reprint a version with a different name, does the same thing but a higher cost.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I think that's usually a much easier approach for them and for the players.
Listen up, Fantasy Flight, or as
mean
would be North
Asmodee.
America. How about some more controversial subjects?
All right,
Even had yet?
let's talk about Jonathan's life.
That it's very controversial whether or not I have one.
It's true.
Well, I'm sure by now everybody's seen Star Wars: The Force Awakens. We certainly have. And if you've missed it, we did a bunch of playbacks for Star Wars games last month.
Is this something where we need to shout spoiler first for?
No,
Okay.
no spoilers. Well,
Pseudo spoilers.
pseudo spoilers. Well, Hasbro released the new Star Wars version of Monopoly.
Oh, I
recently.
think I know what
You
this
probably have heard about this.
Yeah.
This is bled over into other toys as well. And there was a thing where people were upset because the character Rey from the movie was not one of the playable figures in the game.
In fact, Vader is.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. So there, there's some issues about people were claiming whether it's sexism or whatever it is that she wasn't included. Or they wanted to be able to play as her, and Hasbro is actually going to be re-releasing a new version that does include her. That's how big this demand was. And I know there was like a set of action figures as well that didn't include her. So supposedly their defense is that they were trying to protect from spoilers, that it's sort of revealed in the movie that she like becomes a big player in the rebellion scene, I guess.
All right.
And I would say before you talk,
well, I'll let you do your opinion first, and I'll do mine.
All right. Well, my from the defensive standpoint is that this is, to be fair, this is not the Force Awakens monopoly. It is Star Wars monopoly. So the fact that it does include Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, although neither of them make big appearances in Force Awakens, like I think it would be much more inexcusable if this was strictly based on that movie and not just like it has Finn and Kylo Ren. Poe Dameron's not in it either. But then again, of course, Rey is the big main character, so I understand why people want her in it. Anyway, I think it's cool that they...
So what are all the Monopoly figures before I say my opinion?
As far as I know, it's Kylo Ren, Finn, Darth Vader, and Luke. That's it.
Only 4?
Only 4.
Okay, so I'm going to start off that it's an excuse. It is not. This is what they thought. I know what happened. The marketing team went in and said, raise a girl, no one's going to buy it for her. And which is absolutely not true. I think we're seeing enough of the characters that people aren't only going to buy the male figures, action figures. In fact, I heard supposedly like there's tons of Finn figures, but like no Reys because everyone buys the Reys. And I saw that collection set too, in which I think had a regular Stormtrooper in it. Yeah. And it's just because the marketing teams are just so behind on like, they don't look at the main characters, they look at the guys, because the main characters used to only be guys. Like the female role used to be second place in very rarities, like Alien with Ripley or something. Like that wasn't something that was common.
Sure, it still is not common.
Yeah, but even less so, I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I definitely
think it was an oversight on their part, and they're playing the backtracking game. And also, I'm pretty sure most Monopoly pieces has 8 pieces in them.
Yeah, for some reason, I think all their Star Wars games are just cheaping out on this Monopoly version. Is only up to 4 players. But I definitely can see that being a factor, but I could see it more so for the toys. It seems weird to me that in a Monopoly game where there's like already, well, normally like 5 or 6, if not more, figures, that's where they would draw the line. I like why. It seems strange that the weird thing to me is Darth Vader. he's not even alive in that movie. So why?
I understand if it's just Star Wars, but I don't think it should have been 4. This is Star Wars. If you're spanning, if you know you're going to span all, let's say 6. No one's going to touch the prequels. So 6 movies.
No, I think it would be...
You don't choose 4 characters.
It would be more defensible if, say, it was just Finn and not Kylo Ren. Like if they had like one character for each movie or something.
I would...
But, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that it's great that they listened and that there's no reason she shouldn't be in this game or any game. I think it's cool. But yeah, I don't know. That's cool.
No, I definitely do think Hasbro did screw up. I don't think this was oops mistake. This was in a meeting in the marketing team.
But do you think there is any? Because I mean, it is true that if you look at, for example, the poster of Force Awakens, Finn is front and center with a lightsaber and not Rey. People do think that that's because it was supposed to be kind of almost a twist.
That's what I think. The poster and stuff. But the thing is,
maybe some of that might have bled over into the marketing.
No,
even a little bit.
Not really, because I do think this was because she's. I think I would only agree with that if I watched all the trailers and she appeared in like one scene. But I'm guessing if I watched all the trailers, which I avoided because I didn't want to see.
I actually don't know. I've only seen the one.
Well, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying if she's only in like one trailer or something, then I could sort of see that. I think it was sort of advertised she was a big player.
Well, definitely, if you like read any kind of website or something, you kind of knew. I don't know about the mainstream trailers, though. I can't say.
So, but I do think this is just a mistake on Hasbro's end. I don't. I think they mixed up there, and hopefully
Hey, good on
they
them
correct
for
it.
owning up to it.
Yeah.
Either way.
Well, good on them for actually doing something about
Yeah,
it.
that's pretty
Instead of just
remarkable.
going, "We're sorry."
yeah, are you kidding me? Like it's Disney
No, I was
and
actually
Hasbro.
impressed when
yeah.
you. But hopefully, then we'll see those characters though in the Fantasy Flight Star Wars. That's what I'm excited for, seeing more of the movie
yeah.
appearing. And
Well, we've got
Fantasy Flight
Rebellion
games.
coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, that's true.
Very, very soon. So that's Star Wars. A couple more licensed things we're going to talk about. Next up is a brand new Walking Dead game. This comes from Mantic Games, who just recently put out Dungeon Saga, which is a big old RPG with miniatures and stuff like that. And this is not new territory. There have been Walking Dead board games in the past. But this perhaps is one of the more gamer type game versions of it.
Well, what I think is this is probably a newcomer into, at least in my mind, in terms of mainstream ones, of miniatures.
Well, let's, first we should also clarify this is based on the license for the comics.
Right.
All the comics. It is not the TV show, and it's actually a specific story arc from the comics that I'm not familiar with because I never read.
Well, it's a story arc now, but I'm sure they can go more. But
Well, yeah.
the thing is, what I'm excited about, because I was talking to someone who does play a lot more miniatures about this, so he had a bit more knowledge on this, is that this could, with this, because the way it works is, it's not like someone's human, someone's zombies. Zombies are actually like sort of neutral, and then each person controls a gang.
Right.
What I think is cool with this is with a miniatures game, because usually when I think of miniatures, you think of a war game, right? You think of.
Sure.
In this, you could probably actually do a lot more, less about fighting, but more story, but still miniatures. Like you can do things like scenarios like more like the Telltale game. Like you could put like there's a guy there, you can choose to rescue him or let the walkers get to them, or like I feel like you can do a lot more interesting story related things with this. And I think it is. I'm actually, in terms of what you can do, it's better that they went with the comics and the show. I think the show would attach more, attention with eyes, but.
Well, there's a lot of reasons. Like number one, licensing people's faces, and then worrying about
how the miniature comes out.
Yeah, and also just like in terms of art and stuff, you have much more freedom, I think.
Well, and there's also more in the comics, right?
Oh yeah, there's way more.
So you could do more things.
Yeah.
I mean, and let's face it, this is the kind of thing. If someone's doing miniatures, they're gonna want probably most of them. So
right.
if you want to be able to give them the variety that they want.
No, I like what you're saying about the story thing, and that seems pretty likely based on Dungeon Saga.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you've seen the Dungeon Saga stuff.
Yeah, it seems like that's probably a direction they want to go in. Yeah, so yeah, it should be pretty cool.
No, I have high hopes for it.
Yeah.
I think they could. I mean, after with Dungeon Saga and with this, and I know it's not coming out until like late 2016. I think it's going to be a Kickstarter too, which when I was talking to them, like, do you really need a Kickstarter for Walking Dead?
Yeah.
But
then again, did they really need one for Ghostbusters? Did they really need one for Mega Man? Well, actually, they did need one for Mega Man. That's actually coming out now, by the way.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
4 years later.
But I think it has high potential to do a lot of really interesting things. Even just like fan-created story like missions that are much more story-oriented. Story-oriented. Just with like you don't even have to stick with like you can have just these characters, place them here, make decisions and stuff.
There's almost unlimited potential for that.
So I think you can really bring out the good of what, like, I know we've had this discussion off camera more about like what zombies movies are and stuff, and how it's less about the zombies but the humans.
Right.
And I think this miniature game, well, with this the trademark copyright with miniatures is a perfect blend.
Yeah, that's Walking Dead's MO pretty much.
Bring something interesting into miniatures. It's not just, look, we just skinned over with miniatures and here's Gundam.
It's not just HeroClix with a new set out.
You could be like, okay, we're going to take the world and bring miniatures into it. So I have high hopes.
And we haven't played any other Walking Dead games as of yet, so except for the video game. couldn't compare. And then finally, one more fun bit of news. This year, you probably heard about this, marks the 20th anniversary of the Pokemon trading card game. So to celebrate that in Japan, they're actually re-releasing the original
Aren't they here too?
starter deck.
Or is it just
as
there?
far as I know,
I heard PAX
it may
too.
be here too, yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
But the box is like the original Japanese art.
I'm not going to lie. I sort of want, if they do PAX here, I sort of want to, like,
yeah, right.
I want to get my original Blastoise and stuff.
Yeah, like I would totally play if they re-released the set.
No, because I still remember my third pack I ever opened
Yeah.
was Charizard, and that used to be like the top, the creme de la creme in the Pokemon cards.
Still shipped. Did you go to like a launch event when it came out? Or
As a
no?
kid?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know there were launch events or anything. I
Oh,
just
I did.
Target. I know I did for my Game Boy game. I actually tied. I got so angry.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like
Oh,
there's
you
a
actually-
tournament.
Oh, you actually
yeah.
had a tournament?
And I didn't understand the rules. So like they said, choose 3 Pokemon. So I'm like, okay, I'll choose these 3 first, and then I'll use my next 3 in the second round, and like use the same 3 from before. I'm like, oh no. And it ended in a tie. We both had Mewtwo, so we just Swift, recover, Swift, recover, Swift, recover.
You're still talking about the video game, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. No,
But-
I remember. Yeah, I remember. I made my parents drive me to some mall.
Yeah, no, it was. I remember
It
I
was
had to find
crazy.
it. And everyone was really nice there. That's a.
But I remember when I first got Pokemon cards, I didn't know the rules. I like started with packs.
No, because when my first friend showed me, he got a pack and we played it, and it was like we were making
like,
rules,
making up
and
the
like
rules?
I'm like I beat him. Like he's like, well, I discard all my energies when I guy faints, and you take 10 damage, so you die too. I'm like, oh, what? You could do that?
I think I basically just played war with
Sort of,
Pokemon
yeah.
cards.
But I remember I was really proud of the deck. I lost them. God knows,
Yeah.
I feel disappointed. I know because I know that the original cards, my deck was a water fighting deck because I had to use Blastoise.
yeah, I mean it's mandatory.
So I remember I was really proud of it.
losers.
I'm just like, as long as I don't go against grass.
Yeah, we should start it up again.
No, I feel like if.
I still have some. Do you have any? You have some
Oh,
of
I
those
still
cards.
have them. I just don't know have the
Let's
deck.
pull 'em
No, but I'm
together.
saying if these new, we should actually
Yeah.
play with the new,
Yeah.
or the new old ones, and actually make decks, and it'd be so much
It's
fun.
it's sort of like when it's like D&D putting out like a new edition that's like old school or something. I don't know. There's like
Yeah.
something. It's
No.
fresh. and
Well,
cool,
another thing
it's
we should
retro.
mention, I should mention why they can get away with this is
Yeah.
unlike Magic the Gathering, is there's been a huge power creep in Pokemon. When Magic the Gathering have $10,000 cards from the original set, so if they reprinted them, there would be a bit of an issue.
We might have some upset eBay sellers. Well, anyway, that's coming out sometime later this year than the spring or something. So that's all our news for the day. We've got some viewer comments to go through. Oh, let me just prep them up for you on my sophisticated viewer reading device. First, we've got some. As I said, we played Star Wars and we messed some stuff up. Just a couple rules clarifications.
Some more?
Yeah.
We screwed up even more.
Yeah. From mostly from Imperial Assault. Those are the ones that I'm going to go through.
Well, that was one we did rush more compared to the other.
Apparently, we at some point the Nexu moved inappropriately, ways
Oh,
that
it
it
did?
shouldn't
Oops.
have. And they also pointed out that they suspect that us rebels may have forgotten that we can spend strain to get free movement points, which could have helped us on a few turns, and
Yeah.
most assuredly we did. Even when we played Descent many times, we would always
Yeah.
forget that because there's just so many rules in that
So that's
game.
not wrong. You just chose poorly.
Yes, yeah, more or less. And there was also a clarification that I don't know if this actually happened when we played, but for line of sight, you know how you have to draw line of sight from 2 separate
Yeah.
corners? The 2 corners have to be adjacent to each other. I don't know
Oh.
if we kept up with that or not.
I don't know either.
It may not have.
There's
but
too many things happening.
There's so many things in that game. But anyway, that's just some stuff. We got word from Falcon Ash K, who actually ordered some X-Wing ships from us recently, which is very exciting.
And they were all damaged.
Yeah, no, they were great, of course, and also spoke of a convention in Connecticut that is going to be happening in September that he did not know the name of, and I did not know what it was either. But if anyone happens to know, that's something. Also, just as a reminder, if there are any.
Is it in general board games or is it specifically X-Wing?
I believe general gaming
Okay.
convention. If there are any kind of gaming conventions in the local area that you guys know about that would be cool for us to go to and maybe just maybe do some filming, maybe not, just meet some people or play some games, let us know because we definitely are looking out for stuff like that all the time. And we got a suggestion from my close personal friend Rocky9555. Don't talk to Rocky9554. That guy's a jerk.
Now we're going to get a comment from that person.
I don't know if this is something people would want to see as maybe in addition to videos like this, producing shorter videos that maybe highlight some big news clips, or maybe releasing clips from these episodes.
This is his comment.
I'm paraphrasing.
Okay.
So that for our common ADD YouTube viewers of the day who don't like to watch these longer podcasts, to give them some shorter bites, some like 2 to 3 minute news clips that maybe, if that's, I don't know, maybe that's something people would want to see, maybe not. I'd be interested in finding out. Maybe that's something we look into in the future, as either cutting this up or doing separate videos. I don't know. Those were our big comments from the week.
Yeah, I'm not surprised I moved the Nexus.
The Nexu.
Because I remember we spent a good 10 minutes just talking about the movement because Descent moves differently.
Yeah.
I remember because I moved it. We don't think they moved that. I'm like, no, but Garrett always shrinks it down and moves it. I'm like, wait. No.
Resulted in some sadness, I'm sure. So it is.
Well, sadness more of I have to think more. Because
you never want to think.
Because the shrinking is easy because you're just 1, 2, 3. This is okay, I have to shift.
Yeah, and then there's rotating them now, and it's weird, but.
I mean, it's probably for the better because I know how many times have we been blocked by a stupid phantasm dragon, shadow dragon. I mean,
I want a phantasm dragon. It is now 2016, as we mentioned at the top of the show. I wanted to ask if you, as a parting gift to you and our viewers, are you familiar with the concept of a 10 by 10?
No.
This is the thing.
Wait a minute. No, I think I do know about this.
Oh, maybe you do. Well, this is a real thing that
took me a minute. I was thinking 10 inches by 10. I'm like, is this a new Star Wars?
It's like a 2x4. I don't know where this started, but it's a thing on Board Game Geek and other gaming communities where at the start of the year, it's sort of like a New Year's resolution. People make a list of 10 games that they want to play each 10 times over the course of the entire year. And it's sort of a way to force yourself to either clear out some backlog or play a game that you really are looking forward to that you might not have been able to play normally. I don't know. I think I thought about trying it last year, but I did not do it. Maybe we should do it for the show and then see how far we get over the course of the year.
I will tell you we will not, because I think the only way we will pull it off is if those 10 games... No. All those 10 games have to be 2-player games. Because we're the only people who are consistent.
Well, what if we made a list between
maybe 10 by 5? It's 5.
Maybe let's do the two of us and try to push it on our whole group.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. What I've been doing, I didn't know about this, is I've been trying to do at least, I would say a minimum of 4, but I'm trying to do a game a day to read through and learn. Actually, 3 of them are on the shelves right now. I'm going to take them off.
Just to learn, not even to play.
Well, no, I'm going to try to then shove it.
Right.
But,
so you got to start somewhere.
Because I already learned, after forcing people to play Arkham, I'm like, I can't be too mean about it. And also with the number of players.
This is how low our expectations are. Our resolution is just to read the rule books for 10 games. Once. And we're not even sure if we can do that.
They're on here. The ones I've learned for this week is, which I'm most excited for, is Fireteam Zero. I'm really excited to get. Post-Human, and then Arctic Scavengers. I'm actually shocked. That was the one that I had the hardest time learning, which is a deck building game.
I don't know. I think we'll think of something. We'll see if we can come up with an agreeable thing that maybe we can try. And then if you're watching, you should definitely tell us if you have a list and how you organize it, or maybe it could be what you want us to play.
Yeah. Well, what I would love to see is people who are doing this. Yeah. How are you successful in doing it in something that requires more than people?
Yeah. Right.
If you need. What if imagine not Codenames, if Resistance was on there, which you would say needs 6?
Right. I mean, it's technically 5 minimum, 6 probably to enjoy yourself.
Right. So imagine you had something like that. Or in a different case, imagine if the game was Versus, and every time you come, or there's 5 or 6 people.
Well, I guess.
How many times have we hit a board game that hits a max of 4?
Well, that's true. I mean. It's nice. It would be nice, even if you don't meet your goal, just to have it as something to strive for at least. something to, when you don't know what to play, you have a list to draw from. So
Well-
even if you only play 6 of them 3 times, maybe that's more than you would have if you
Now,
didn't.
I like this because we're actually seeing our two mental. For you, you're like, I need this number goal, and it doesn't matter if I don't hit it, I just want it there. For me, I'm like, no number goal. Let's just say a game a day, that's good enough. Like, that's how we're seeing.
You gotta have goals. You gotta have big dreams.
I know, you gotta roll with it.
Shoot for the moon, and then you hit the stars.
No, I'm just saying, we'll see if we hit the moon. We'll just make our way. My
If-
goal is just to head upwards.
If you shoot for the moon, you will land among the stars.
Yeah, but if someone
It's
knows.
the name of a board game.
But if you shoot
It's
for
the
the
name
moon.
of a game.
But if you're trying to shoot for the moon and someone realizes it, they'll take a heart, and then you lose.
All right, good. All right, if you want to
Ha,
comment
game
on
reference.
with your stuff that you have, then you can do it on this video with the YouTube comments, or you can send us an email. Our address is rollforcrit@gmail.com.
And of course, there's also Twitter. If you just want a small blurb, that's at RollForCrit and our personal Twitter accounts.
And our own website, rollforcrit.com, where we sell so many of the games that we talked about today, and there are lots more podcasts and playbacks to look forward to coming up in the near future.
And as we just did now, we'll also read your comments, which this week I actually would really like to see some of the comments to some of the stuff we talked
Yeah,
about.
there's some big topics.
Well,
to
not even like
discuss.
the big stuff. I think the 10x10 would be as interesting.
For
I mean,
sure.
I would like to know more people who play Dungeon Saga and if they think the Walking Dead game is just going to be another zombie miniatures or whether it'd be able to bring more
Sock
to the
it to
miniatures.
us, guys. We love hearing from you. Otherwise, that's going to wrap it up for episode number 70-something of the Roll for Crit podcast.
I love 70 something. That's before 70 thing and
After 70, what's it? So join us next time. I'm Jonathan Estes.
I'm Will Keeler and this has been Roll for Crit.